A lot of child care center owners assume the only way to increase value is by expanding enrollment capacity, adding classrooms, or opening another location. In reality, some of the fastest ways to increase value have nothing to do with expansion at all. I'm Brent Delhamer with Child Care Insight. And this matters because expansion is expensive, time-consuming, operationally stressful, and often unnecessary before a sale. Most buyers and lenders are not looking at size. They are looking at operational quality, financial efficiency, and future stability. Sometimes a center with a cleaner operations and stronger margins is worth more than a larger center with operational chaos. That surprises many owners. One of the fastest ways to increase value is improving tuition, positioning, responsibility. I see centers constantly operating below market because owners become uncomfortable raising rates over time. This is extremely common in childcare. Owners build close relationships with families. They know the parents personally. They feel emotionally connected to the community. So tuition increases get delayed repeatedly while payroll, insurance, utilities, food costs, and maintenance continue rising quietly in the background. Over time, margins compress badly, and this creates a major issue during underwriting because lenders care heavily about cash flow consistency and debt coverage. I recently reviewed a center where tuition rates were materially below competitors despite strong demand and a good reputation. The owner had not adjusted pricing aggressively for years because they worried families might leave. The irony was the center already had a wait list and demand in several classrooms. After implementing measured tuition increases over time, profitability improved significantly without adding a single student. That directly affects value because buyers could now justify stronger financing support through improved cash flow. And this is where owners often underestimate how much operational refinement matters. Another major value driver is stabilizing staffing structure before going to market. This does not mean cutting teachers recklessly. In childcare, ratios and classroom quality matters. But I frequently see centers carrying operational inefficiencies that slowly developed over the years. Sometimes there are overlapping administrative roles. Sometimes scheduling drifted inefficiently. Sometimes staffing remained sized for historical enrollment rather than current enrollment. The owner often does not notice because the evolution happened gradually. Buyers notice immediately. Lenders notice immediately. I saw a transaction recently where the business itself was attractive, but payroll percentage had climbed high enough that the buyer became concerned about future operational flexibility. The school still had a great reputation. Families were happy, but underwriting became tighter because margins had weakened unnecessarily. Once the seller corrected several operational inefficiencies before going back on the market, the business became substantially easier to finance. That changed the entire transaction dynamic. And there is another issue almost nobody talks about. Predictability increases value. Sophisticated buyers are willing to pay stronger multiples when operations feel stable and easy to understand. Chaos reduces confidence. This becomes especially important with financing reporting. You'd be amazed at how many centers operate with inconsistent bookkeeping, unclear payroll, missing add-back documentation, or financial statements that do not align clearly with tax returns. Operationally, the owner may fully understand the business. To a lender, though, inconsistency creates risk. I worked with an owner whose center actually performed fairly well financially, but the bookkeeping was disorganized enough that buyers struggled to evaluate true cash flow. Every diligent conversation became longer and more difficult than necessary. The business itself was not the problem. Clarity was the problem. Once financial organization improved, buyer confidence improved almost immediately. And confidence matters enormously in transactions. Another fast value improvement is addressing deferred maintenance and presentation issues before listing the center. This is not about expensive luxury renovations. Buyers are primarily looking for signs of operational pride and stability. Clean classrooms, organized records, maintained playgrounds, fresh exterior appearance, functional systems, and overall professionalism all create psychological confidence. I've seen owners lose negotiating leverage over respectively inexpensive maintenance issues because buyers started wondering what other operational problems might exist underneath the surface. Small presentation issues can quietly create larger perceived risk, and this becomes even more important during walkthroughs and diligence inspections. Buyers are already nervous. Lenders are already cautious. Every operational detail influences confidence. There's also a tremendous value in reducing operational dependency on the owner before selling. This is a huge one. If the entire business revolves around the owner personally handling enrollment, staffing decisions, parent communication, licensing coordination, and financial management every single day, buyers become concerned about transaction risk. I've seen otherwise strong centers discounted because buyers feared the business identity was too tied to the seller personality. The more transferable the operation feels, the stronger the business usually becomes for evaluation. And the crazy part is that many of these improvements do not require expansion at all. They require operational tightening, financial clarity, strategic positioning, stability. That is what sophisticated buyers and lenders ultimately want to see. So your homework is simple. Go walk through your center as if you were preparing for a lender site visit tomorrow. Review tuition positioning. Review payroll efficiency. Review maintenance, financial organization. And then ask yourself honestly whether your business currently feels stable, transferable, and easy to underwrite. Those answers often determine value more than owners recognize. If you want a confidential discussion about your childcare center or property value, reach out to Childcare Insight.